2 Corinthians chapter 2 verse 11. Lest Satan should get an advantage of us, for we are not ignorant of his devices. We're starting this off by giving all acknowledgement and all credit to Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushai. Double honors to the men, my teachers, in whom I learned this truth from, starting with and beginning at the apostles, the elders of Great Millstone. Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushai Barakatham, to all the real, sincere Akim that are pushing this truth and sincerity in throughout the four corners of the earth. Alright. Started out with this precept first because this video is brought to you by this article that I came across. It says coalition of over 2,700 Laodicean evangelists join forces to urge Christians to not resist the coming COVID vaccine and implantable biometric ID. Alright. So basically, alright, so basically, another form of Esau's witchcraft into pushing his agenda. Alright. The talks of, basically using the church, these different religious leaders, forcing the members to get vaccinated and ultimately, take the chip, which is the mark of the beast, the RFID chip. All right. And that's why I started off with Second Corinthians, chapter 2 and 11, because those with the eye salve to see, and understand exactly what's going on. All right. Because for the most part, these churches and these religious leaders, from the most prominent, all the way down to your local street church, where the bathroom is all messed up, and the AC isn't working, for the most part, they all fall under that 501c3 charter contract. All right. These churches, they're all under that gag order. So, it's all going to trickle down into these religious leaders, again, starting with, from your most prominent leaders, your T.D. Jakes, Joel Osteens, all the way down to your local pork chop eating pastor. All right. Eventually, they're all going to tell the congregation, tell the members to, get the chip, get the vaccine, and to getting those chips, the mark of the beast. All right. So I'm going to read some of this article. It says a coalition of more than 2,700 high-profile evangelicals spanning the fields of science and religion have signed onto a statement bill, a Christian statement on science and pandemic times, which warns against the politicization of the new coronavirus and urges Christians to take appropriate action against it, including taking a vaccine when it's ready. BioLogos was founded by U.S. National Institutes of Health Director Francis Collins, a devout Christian geneticist, and his wife, to foster discussions about the harmony between science and biblical faith. And jump on down. Matter of fact, yeah, I'm gonna jump on down. Um, so I already read that first part. Continue reading on in this paragraph in the middle. It says, "We are deeply concerned about the popularization and politicization of science in the public square when so many lives are at stake. The word science has become a weapon in the culture wars. Scientists are vilified and their findings ignored, while conspiracy theorists go viral. Sadly, Christians seem just as susceptible to these trends." Yeah, because a lot of information is coming out, and pretty much, Esau, he's being exposed. That veil is being uncovered. All right, because it's these so-called conspiracy theorists. All right, again, a lot of truth is coming out. And it's going against, again, it's going against the all this poison that Esau's pushing out. All right, and a lot of people, a lot of these churches are losing members because of it. You know, which in the minds of these religious leaders, man, you're nothing but a so-called dollar sign. All they see is dollar signs. You know, it says, sadly, Christians seem just as susceptible to these trends. Thoughtful Christians may disagree on public policy in response to the coronavirus, but none of us should ignore clear scientific evidence. The statement published online by the nonprofit organization BioLogos says, "We call on all Christians to follow the advice of public health experts and support scientists doing crucial biomedical research on COVID-19. So you see, jump on down. It says some of the influential evangelicals who have already signed the statement include Bishop. Blah blah blah. I'm gonna read on down. Just name some. To name some of these individuals, not important. It says the signers affirm that they uphold the authority of God's word and see science as a tool to understand God's world, which, of course, is something that they'll never be able to understand, because here it is, the information about the vaccines has come out, and how, what's in those vaccinations, it'll be able to alter your DNA, which Esau doesn't even fully understand DNA, so that should be a red flag, It says the statement comes in the wake of the fragmented response in the Christian community to the coronavirus, which has fed skepticism about how it has been handled and challenged advice from public health officials on issues such as the wearing of face masks to stem the spread of the disease. BioLogos urges Christians to wear masks, get vaccinated, correct misinformation, work for justice, and pray. All right, so you see, again, with all this information that's coming out, basically there's an attack on the truth. All right, so now, I can just imagine, Esau, he's scrambling now, because again, a lot of people are waking up, and a lot of people are coming up out of these religious organizations. All right, but nevertheless, sticking to the point. All right, get Romans, the 13th chapter. Again, these churches are set up by, the wicked elites. All right, and they're going to use these churches, these religious leaders, to push their agenda. All right. So Romans 13:1, it says, "Let every soul be subject unto the higher powers, for there is no power but of the Most High. The powers that be are ordained of the Most High," which is true. All right. Yahweh Shai set these, pretty much the powers that be. The Lord set them up. All right. Ultimately, to do His will, But again, so for the most part, when there's with these certain laws and whatnot that they got out there, you got to wear face masks and stuff like that. We keep the laws of the land. We obey the laws of the land. Because again, ultimately, Yahweh Shem Shai did set these people up to establish these things. But we keep the laws of the land until it starts interfering with the laws and statutes and commandments of Yahweh Shem Shai. All right. And before I jump the gun, I'm gonna continue reading on down. It says, "Whosoever therefore resisteth the power resisteth the ordinance of the Most High, and they that resist shall receive to themselves damnation." All right, that's something that they teach in the world, the hell doctrine. All right, because something what they teach in they teach in the world, the law. You got to keep the laws, or you're gonna go to hell. You got to pay your tithes, or you're gonna go to hell, and all these other things. All right, which again, they're most of they're not but hypocrites. All right, because the same things that they're it's no different from the Pharisees and Sadducees 2,000 years ago when Yahushua walked the earth. They were teaching the law, all right, but they weren't doing it themselves. All right. It's like so again, I'm gonna just jump down to verse 7 and read on down. It says, "Render therefore to all their dues, tribute to whom tribute is due, custom to whom custom, fear to whom fear, honor to whom honor. Owe no man anything but to love one another, for he that loveth another hath fulfilled the law. For this, thou shalt not commit adultery, thou shalt not kill, thou shalt not steal, thou shalt not bear false witness, thou shalt not covet. And if there be any other commandment, it is briefly comprehended in the saying, namely, thou shalt love thy neighbor as thyself." So basically, like I said, these churches, for the most part, they speak keeping the laws, they teach, laws aren't done away with, and all these other things. But again, soon they're going to be teaching their congregation that you got to get the vaccination. All right, let me go back to this article. It said the title, it said, "Coalition of over 2,700 Laodicean evangelicals joined forces to urge Christians to not resist the coming COVID vaccine and implantable biometric ID." All right, because again, soon to come, he's going to start rolling out with these implantable microchips. All right, which all this is just a prelude. Brothers been saying it. This whole thing with vaccinations and face masks, 6 feet. This is all, precursor to the mark of the beast. All right. Matter of fact, let me read this part where it says, "There are so many things happening now, it is easy to miss it, but if you look closely, you will see it. COVID is not going away. COVID is a real virus, but it has been weaponized to bring you into submission. To beat you into submission with crashed economies, forced lockdowns, mandatory mask wearing, steep fines, and prison time for non-compliance. The America that will exist on the other side of this is not an America you will recognize. It will be a brutal, dystopian place that the last 2 decades of apocalyptic zombie movies have prepared you to accept. Only the zombies will be real if they have their way. The zombies will be me and you." All right, so you see, and that's all. They're going to force these vaccinations and eventually the chip through, draconian measures. Very harsh, sentences and judgments. All right. And this is how Esau. This is how they operate. Isaiah 10:1, it says, "Woe unto them that decree unrighteous decrees, and that right grievousness which they have prescribed." So you see, because again, they push the law, they push God and religion and all these other things, but it's to their benefit. It's not to the benefit of the people. All right, they fear mong. They talk about the Hebrew Israelites, how we fear mong. When they're the ones, all we do is preach the word. All right, they're the ones that, you got to do this, you got to pay your tithes, give us your money and this and that, or you're gonna go to hell and all these other things. Well, again, it's all to their benefit, because if they really taught the law in righteousness, if they were the true judges, you know, um, they would show you this law here in Leviticus the 19th chapter. It talks about um, Leviticus 19. Leviticus 19:28. It says, "Ye shall not make any cuttings in your flesh." Okay, so you see, and or reading on, it says, "For the dead, nor print any marks upon you. I am Yahweh." So you see, it's written in all laws. It's written in the law that you're not supposed to um make any cuttings in your flesh. Whether that be tattoos. So a prime example. A lot of our people, they like getting those tattoos. All right. But for the most part, how do you get tattoos? You insert a needle, you cut the flesh, with those, syringes or the needles or whatever. All right, which that's against it's against our laws, you know. And clearly, because again, we keep the law to the best of our ability. I mean, there's certain things we can't do, so that's why we rehearse the righteous acts to the best of our abilities. And clearly, this is something, this is not hard to stray from. If you decide to get a tattoo or any type of shot, that's a conscious decision. That's something to easily refrain from. All right. And again, how are they going to administer those vaccinations? It's through a syringe, and through a needle. There's something that they're going to cut into the flesh, to give you, and ultimately the chip, which going to the mark of the beast, those chips in Revelation 13:16. It says, "And he causeth all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in their right hand or in their foreheads, and that no man might buy or sell save he that had the mark, or the name of the beast, or the number of his name." So you see, and again, this is why I started off with 2 Corinthians 2:11, because we're not ignorant of Satan's devices. All right, it's his science, so-called. What did that? Because they brought out a precept, 1 Timothy 6:20. Let me get that real quick. First Timothy's 6:20. All this it's in the name of science. All right. But what does the scripture say? 1 Timothy 6:20 says, "O Timothy, keep that which is committed to thy trust. Avoid profane and vain babblings and oppositions of science, falsely so called." So you see, because again, Esau, he deals with that madness, science and all that witchcraft. Basically, that's what it is at the end of the day. He deals with all that on the left hand. All right, and these are things we're supposed to restrain from, avoid. All right, avoiding profane and vain babblings. That word profane basically um goes into outside of the temple. We're not supposed to be dealing in these things. All right, but again, and Esau, they do all these things in the name of science and in the name of their God, which he proclaims himself to be God. He proclaims himself to be the Most High. All right. But again, going back to Revelations, because ultimately this is this is the end game. This is what they want to do. Revelation 13:16, it says, "And he causes all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in their right hand or in their foreheads." All right, and again, they're going to use their churches to push these, their congregations into getting this mark of the beast, which again is that RFID chip. All right, the word for mark. We're going through this time in and time out. the word for mark here is charagma. All right, it says a stamp, an imprinted mark, imprinted. All right, it's something that they're going to be. It's going to be something physically put in you. And that the root word for charagma, which is charax, which is a pale or stake, a palisade, which is basically going into the instrument that is going to be used to issue, and insert the mark of the beast, which is the chip, the charax or the syringe, the needle. All right, this is going to be the instrument, the charax. All right, which again, and I already read it. It's in our law. We're not supposed to be putting these things into our bodies, especially now with all this information that's coming out. The poison and all the abominations that are in those vaccinations. How much more the RFID chip? These chips, these microchips. You know, um, so yeah, because again, they were talking about in this article. They were talking about basically because again, they all this information coming out, and especially with the prophets, the men of the Lord, beginning at the apostles, the elders from Great Millstone and on down, bringing all this information out, um, pretty much they're, trying to convince, they're trying to convince the people, to basically, ignore this information that's coming out, basically, because I'm not going to read the whole article. It's a long article, but that's basically what they were trying to get into. They were trying to say, trust in science, and pray about it and all these things. Which again, Esau, he's trying to, portray himself to be, the Most High, So, again, they're gonna use these churches, and even more so here in the Hebrew Israelite community. You got a lot of camps that are speaking out. They speak against the mark of the beast being being those microchips. So they a lot of these other Israelite camps are infiltrated. All right, they're compromised. All right, because a lot of them are teaching their congregation to get vaccinated. They're teaching that the mark of the beast, or the chip, is not the mark of the beast. Because they want to justify themselves in getting it. Because what these people don't understand is that because again they're all paid off, all right. But what they don't understand is Esau, he's just using them, because Esau can't be trusted, all right. So even though you make these covenants with them, they're still gonna turn their back on you. They're still gonna bite you in the ass. They're still gonna cast you off, and ultimately see how about Shemel Shai, because Esau, he's not more than he's the sword for the Heavenly Father. So ultimately, you see how about Shemel Shai is doing everything, setting certain people up to be destroyed and whatnot. But I just wanted to bring this out, man. They're gonna be using these churches, and even more so, there is even in the Israelite community, we telling their congregations to prepping them and gearing them up to and to getting these vaccinations, and ultimately the RFID chip, which is the mark of the beast. All right. So Yahweh desire you edified. Giving all acknowledgement to Yahweh Shemel Mashai. Double honors to my apostles, my teachers, who were beginning at the apostles, the elders of Great Millstone. Yahweh Shemel Mashai, Barakatham. To all the sincere men out there, pushing this word of sincerity. And until next time, Shalom.